our distinguished speaker, an esteemed nursing leader whose remarkable service and achievements continue to inspire the nursing community. Dr. Jurial, the Deputy Executive Director for Nursing Services at the National Kidney and Transplant Institute, is a respected and influential figure in Philippine nursing. With over 30 years of devoted service, she has consistently demonstrated compassionate leadership, strategic vision, and commitment to nursing excellence. In March 2025, Dr. Jurial was named one of the extraordinary 85 women of Quezon City, a recognition of her profound contributions to healthcare and public service. Her career is marked by a series of outstanding achievements, including the 2022 University of the Philippines Distinguished Alumna Award in Nursing Practice and Advocacy, and the Consuelo Gomez Arabit Award from the Peri-Operative Registered Nurses Association of the Philippines. Her excellence in leadership was further recognized when she was honored as a Circle of Excellence awardee for Women Leader of the Year at the 2023 Asia CEO Awards, among other prestigious national and institutional accolades. Dr. Jurial also served as the founder and president of both the Urologic Nurses Association of the Philippines and the Transplant Nurses Association of the Philippines, where she champions excellence, patient safety, innovation, and lifelong learning with these specialized nursing fields. A dynamic and sought-after speaker, Dr. Jurial continues to share her vast expertise in nursing leadership and healthcare transformation across the country, addressing audiences in both public and private sectors. Let us warmly welcome a trailblazer in nursing leadership, Dr. Nerissa M. Herial, as she shares her insight in From Self-Doubt to Self-Trust, Overcoming Imposter Syndrome, and Embracing Bold Leadership in Nursing.
Thank you very much, Miss Heidi Lazaro, for that kind introduction. Good morning to all the participants in the Philippines and other parts of the world. Thank you for attending this 5th National Nursing Conference. And I would like to greet all of you a happy Nurses Week. Well, in NKTI, we celebrate it for a month, and today is one of the major highlights of this celebration. And this is all for you. Again, I'm Nerissa Jurial. I'm the Deputy Executive Director for Nursing Services here at the National Kidney and Transplant Institute. And it is truly an honor to speak with all of you today. The topic of the session is something close to my heart and deeply relevant to many of us in this profession. From self-doubt to self-trust, overcoming imposter syndrome, and of course, enhancing bold leadership. Can you see my slides? Oh, I think there's a problem. Can you see my slides now? Okay. Once again, the topic of this session is something close to my heart and deeply relevant to many of us in this profession. From self-doubt to self-trust, overcoming imposter syndrome, and enhancing bold leadership in nursing. Well, in line with our work, we often push ourselves, to deliver the best care and to meet the highest standards. And yet, many nurses, regardless of experience, regardless of credentials, accomplishments, carry an inner voice that questions, am I really good enough? Yan ang ating mga tanong sa ating mga sarili. Well, today we will talk about that voice. We will explore where it comes from, why it shows up even in the most capable nurses, and how we can rise about it with confidence, with courage, and of course, with clarity. So without further ado, let's begin. Well, by the end of the lecture, you will be able to understand imposter syndrome and its repetitive cycle, and identify why nurses are at risk of developing imposter syndrome, discovering strategies to overcome imposter syndrome, understand self-trust as a foundation for effective nursing leadership, and finally, learn to practice bold leadership through confidence, courage, and of course, influence. Now, let's begin by unpacking a feeling many of us are familiar with, which is self-doubt. So, ano ba sa Tagalog yung self-doubt? Parang wala ka pang masyadong tiwala sa iyong sarili. So, this is that little voice, in our head that says, can I really do this? Kaya ko ba to? It's a general feeling of our uncertainty or lack of confidence in our abilities, in our decisions, and of course, in our performance. But here's something important to remember. Self-doubt is normal. I would like to repeat it again. Self-doubt is normal. It is often temporary and situational. Maybe it shows us before a shift in a new unit, or when you're asked to take on a leadership role you haven't done before. So kung may bago kang gagawin or assignment na ibinigay sa'yo or bagong trabaho na iniatang sa'yo ng iyong boss, you always tell yourself, kaya ko ba to? Makaka-deliver kaya ako? Matutuwa kaya sila sa magiging output na gagawin ko? So the problem begins when self-doubt lingers. So when self-doubt stops being temporary and starts becoming persistent, that's when we enter the territory of imposter syndrome. Dapat yung mga self-doubt, temporary lang yan. Pero sabi nga nila, if it's become persistent, that's when we enter the territory of imposter syndrome. Ano ba ang imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is often described as a chronic self-doubt. It is a belief that your success is not real and that you're just faking it, even when the evidence shows otherwise. Well, this behavioral health phenomenon is especially common among high-performing individuals, and it doesn't go away with praise or accomplishments. So, what starts as normal self-doubt becomes a dangerous emotional pattern and left unaddressed. It can chip away at our, confidence. Pwedeng yung confidence sa sarili mo, maalis yan. It can affect your work and even our well-being. Now that we have defined what imposter syndrome is, I'd like to take a moment to share this short but powerful video uh, from Stanford Medicine. So it shed light on a very important truth about imposter syndrome and how it can affect anyone, regardless of experience, regardless of role or success. So let's watch this video. Is there a sound? Okay. Well, after learning about that phenomenon of imposter syndrome, it's natural to be curious and start asking yourself, am I a nurse imposter? So, according to Dr. Valerie Young, a global thought leader on imposter syndrome and co-founder of the Imposter Syndrome Institute, there are 5 common types of imposters, which manifest patterns of thinking that many high achievers, mga high achievers din, no? Including nurses, unknowingly fall into. So let's take a look closer at these 5 types. The first imposter is the perfectionist. Well, these are the people who believe that anything less than perfect is failure. So even a small slip or delay can feel like a personal flaw. So may mga tao ganyan, yung masyadong perfectionist. They set impossibly high standards for themselves. And even when they don't meet them, they don't just feel disappointed. They feel like frauds. Parang hindi sila masaya. And in nursing, this type is, incredibly common because our work as nurses involves precision, safety, and patient lives. Many of us grow into the habit of equating performance with worth. One minor error is, hindi ka na mapakali sa maliliit na error lang. Even if it's a caught early, can echo in our minds and make us lose sleep. Since for us, it defines our competence. So it's no wonder that perfectionism can be a trap for impostor thoughts. The next impostor is the expert. So this impostor type, believes that If I don't know everything, I'm not qualified. Yan yung mga sinasabi ng mga expert. Nurses. So this is especially true for new nurses who may think they have to master everything right away. Siyempre, it will take time, as I always say to my staff, and even to the doctors, even during our meetings, I always tell them, it will take time, to develop the competency of a nurse. So the pressure to know all leaves little space for uncertainty, and it leads many nurses to feel like they are not faking it, when in reality, they are simply still learning. Now, let's talk about the soloist. Ang tawag yun sa next is soloist. The impostor who feels that asking for help equals failure. Pag nagtanong ka, failure na ba agad yun? So their inner voice says, if I need help, I'm a failure. Hindi mo alam ang gagawin mo kung mag-isa ka lang. Palagi kang kailangan magtanong o magpatulong. May mga tao kasing ganun eh. Pag inutusan mo, hindi nila alam ang gagawin. So, what they need is, humingi ng tulong palagi sa iba. Well, siguro sa una, it's okay. Pero dapat dumating ang time na matuto ka na because of that experience, and you should, stand alone. Well, this mindset can be dangerous in nursing, where collaboration is essential. But unfortunately, many work environments unintentionally reinforce this idea. When units are understaffed, working solo becomes the norm. And sometimes praise is given to those who hand it all alone, making it seem like independence is the standard and asking for help is a weakness. Di ba? Yun ang palagi natin iniisip eh. Kapag nangingi tayo ng tulong, hindi natin kaya, hindi tayo bilib sa sarili natin, weak tayo. But let's be clear, seeking support is a strength and not a sign of incompetence. The best patient outcomes can happen when healthcare workers communicate, consult, and of course, collaborate. Moving on, the fourth impostor type is the natural genius. So this impostor believes, if I don't get it instantly, I'm not smart enough. Well, this can be especially hard for nurses who were top 10 or top students in school. Then pagpasok nila sa hospital, hirap na sila. So when they enter their first job, things are complex and unpredictable. They may find it difficult to adjust to the reality that learning takes time. But nursing is not just academic. It's emotional, physical, and deeply human. It requires hands-on experience. Napaka-importante niyan. Hands-on experience, hands-on exposure, and time to build confidence. So the imposter type also struggles with a steep learning curve in real practice and may internalize any slow progress as failure. But there's the truth. Mastery takes time. Ako, bago ko ma-master lahat ng alam ko, it took me many years. And learning curves, are normal, even for the brightest among us. And finally, we meet our last impostor, the superhuman. This type believes, if I don't excel in everything, I fail in everything. Sounds familiar? Well, in nursing, many of us take pride in being strong. Kailangan palagi tayong strong, resilient, and capable of doing it all. So we manage, emotional labor. We manage long shifts, life or death situations, di ba? And sometimes even without pausing to breathe. But, my dear friends, here's the challenge. When we equate self-worth with productivity, we set ourselves up for burnout. The culture of healthcare often praises heroism, being self-sacrificing, tireless, and always available. But that expectation leaves little space for our own limits, rest, or even vulnerability. The truth is, you don't have to be everything to everyone to be worth for your role. Now that we've met the 5 types of imposters, let's take a look at how impostor syndrome actually operates. So it's not just a feeling that comes and goes. It moves in a cycle, a pattern that many nurses unknowingly repeat. So look at the slide. It starts here. A new assignment, a leadership role, a presentation, something that says, we trust you, you are capable. So you do this. But instead of feeling excited or empowered, the first the first thought is self-doubt. You might hear a voice in your head whispering, why did they choose me for this? Bakit akong pinili? Ang dami namang mas magaling sa akin. I'm not the best person for the job. Naku, baka hindi ko kaya to. Ganyan agad ang ating palaging sinasabi. This is the trigger moment where imposter syndrome begins to take hold, because even before you have taken the first step, hindi mo pa nga nagagawa, you are really questioning your worth. And from here, the cycle continues. After the initial self-doubt comes the second wave. Ito yung tinatawag nating anxiety or paralyzing pressure to prove yourself. At this stage, the nurse starts thinking, I need to review everything 3 times. I cannot afford to mess up. There's anxiety, not just about, doing the task, but about being exposed as a fraud. So, you either procrastinate out of fear or go into over-preparation mode. Papanik ka na. Spending too much time trying to perfect every detail. But either way, it's driven by the same fear of never being good enough. And this intense pressure sets the tone for the next stage in the cycle. Eventually, the task gets done. And here's the interesting part. It goes well. Diba? Nagawa na mabuti naman. But instead of feeling proud or capable, the response is often, that went okay. Okay naman, I guess. But anyone could have done that better. May mga ganun tayo minsan eh. This is, a defining trait of imposter syndrome. Success is achieved, but confidence doesn't follow. Even after doing the work, sometimes over preparing or, overthinking, the feeling of relief is short-lived and self-doubt lingers, in the background. Naiisip niyo ba yan? Nangyayari ba sa inyo yan? So after fleeting moment of relief, here comes the rationalization. Instead of us, embracing success, the mind explains it away. They were just being nice. I only got through that because someone helped me. Siguro pinuri lang nila ako kasi kaibigan ko sila. Pinuri lang nila ako kasi mabait sila sa akin, or siguro dahil nagawa ko to dahil ang daming tumulong sa akin. This is a critical part of the imposter cycle. Why? Because this is where the brain minimizes the achievement, discredits the effort, or attributes it to external factors like luck, siguro, nangyari yan, sinuwerte lang ako. Chance, or other people's support rather than your skill. You know, for nurses, this can be especially common in team-based work setting where you contribute, you succeed, but you still question your role in that success. Siyempre, naging successful yon kasi meron ka namang kinontribute. And here we are, back where we started. Despite the success, instead of feeling confident, dapat nga confident ka, di ba? The nurse feels even more pressure to keep up the appearance of competence. So there's no internalization of the achievement, no boost in self-confidence, just this lingering fear. You know, yung fear that says, next time they'll see I'm not really that good. This is the danger of imposter syndrome. It's a cycle that keeps repeating, draining confidence and limiting growth. Kasi palagi mo sinasabing sa sarili mo, ito lang ang kaya ko, hanggang dito lang ako, hindi ko kaya yan. Now, but the good news is, like all cycles, it can be broken. It can break the cycle. To break the cycle means recognizing the patterns that keep us small and choosing to respond differently on purpose and, you know, with self-compassion. On my next slide, we will walk through small, powerful ways to discontinue the cycle using the acronym BREAK, B-R-E-A-K, BREAK as our guide. Now, break. Let's start with letter B. B is for breathe. Breathe and acknowledge. This first step is all about awareness and self-compassion. When impostor thoughts starts to creep in, pause and take a slow, mindful breath. Then, name what's really happening. Instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, remind yourself that, you know, this is just anxiety, not incompetence. Labeling the emotion separates you from it, and that gives you power. Finally, ground yourself in reality. You've done hard things before. You've learned and you've grown from it. So those past wins anchor you when your confidence feels shaky. R. After taking that pause and acknowledging the feeling, the next step is to reframe negative thoughts. R is reframe. This is where we challenge the voice in our head that says, you're not good enough, or maybe you will mess up. We sometimes have these self-sabotaging thoughts. But what matters is what we do with them. Instead of saying, I'm failing, you know, try, I'm learning. Well, it sounds simple, but that shift can be powerful. This is called cognitive reframing. It helps us look at our struggles not as signs of weakness, but signs of growth. Huwag niyo isiping weakness. Signs of growth yan. And lastly, remember that preparing thoroughly doesn't mean you're trying to survive, but instead, it means that you're investing in yourself to grow. So let your inner voice be your ally and not your enemy. Okay? So, after we've reframed our negative thoughts, The next step is to embrace support. E, embrace. One of the biggest lies imposter syndrome tells us is that we are alone and that no one else feels this way. But the truth is, many of our peers, our mentors, even the people we look up to have felt it too. That's why connection is key. Reach out to your trusted colleagues or mentors when you're feeling unsure. Talk it out. Don't bottle things up. And sometimes just hearing someone say, I've been there through, huwag kang mag-alala. Dumaan din ako dyan. Ganyan din ako dati. Can lighten the burden immensely. So connect with your peers who share similar struggles because you don't have to carry it all alone. So you've learned to embrace support and let others in. Yeah, di ba? Pumasok na. Nakahingi ka na ng peer support. But what about yourself? That brings us to A, accept achievements. This can be one of the hardest steps because imposter syndrome convinces us that our wins are either luck, timing lang siguro yan, or someone else's doing. But you did the work. You did the work. You showed up and you made an impact. So recognize when you've done well and allow yourself, to feel proud. You don't have to wait for a perfect outcome to celebrate progress. One simple practice is keeping an affirmation journal, a space where you record compliments, successes, or moments when you surprise even yourself. And the next time, someone says, great job, ang galing mo. Resist the urge to explain it away or justify. Try, just saying a simple thank you. Bakit pag ang daming nagsasabi sa atin ng compliments, ay kasi puro tayo kasi siguro ganito. Di ba pwedeng thank you for appreciating my effort. This is how you will slowly teach your mind to believe what's already true. And finally, we've come to the last step, which is letter K for break, no? K for kindle kindness within. You've embraced support and accepted your wins, but sustaining that shift means learning to be kinder to yourself. Often, the voice in our heads is more, critical than any supervisor or colleague. But when we start replacing that harsh with realistic and supportive affirmations, we begin to rebuild our self-esteem. One gentle word, sabi nga nila, at a time. So every effort you make matters. Tandaan nyo yan. Every effort you make matters. Every small win counts. Even on hard days. You're still showing up, and that's more than enough. So, speak to yourself with the same concern you have for your friends or the same compassion you'd offer to your patients. Because when kindness becomes your, inner language, you kindle a mindset where self-trust can truly grow. Now that we've gone through the steps to break the cycle, let's talk about what we're actually rebuilding. Ano ba yung ating gustong mangyari? Well, self-trust. Self-trust is more than just confidence. Kailangan, ang unang-una natin pagtitiwalaan ang ating mga sarili. Di ba? It refers to the belief in your own judgment, your capabilities, and your worth, even when in doubt. Pressure or failure creeps in. It's what anchors when your things get uncertain. And here's the beautiful part. I would like to share this with you. Trusting yourself allows others to trust you too. Paano magtitiwala sa iyong iba kung sa sarili mo wala kang tiwala, 'di ba? So in nursing, where we are often expected to hold things together for everyone, it's easy to forget that we also need to trust ourselves. Not just for the care we give, but for the decisions we make, the boundaries we set, and the growth we allow. So now, we now let's talk about self-trust is, really the foundation. But what does that really look like when it's put into practice, especially in leadership? So marami tayong mga nursing leaders siguro dito, mga chief nurses in our audience, assistant chief nurses, supervisors, head managers. When a leader truly trusts herself, she doesn't just survive the shift, but instead, she leads with purpose. She shows up with confidence in her decisions, the courage to speak up, and the influence to inspire others into action. Palagi kong sinasabi to, that is leadership. Leadership is influence. It's not just a position, it's action. Through these building blocks, so self-trust transforms into something greater. It becomes bold leadership. So what is bold leadership? Bold leadership is about leading not from a place of fear or perfection, but from authenticity, vision, and conviction. So bold leaders don't wait to feel 100% ready or validated before stepping up. They move forward with clarity in their purpose. And yes, bold leadership involves taking risk, but not just any risk. Risks are rooted in values, guided by what's right for patients, for the team, and the bigger picture. So sabi nga nila, kahit mahirap, go ka lang. Kaya mo yan. Ako, sinasabi ko sa mga heads, pag binibigyan ko ng assignment, kayang-kaya mo yan, ikaw pa. Kapag may problema, puntahan mo lang ako. So, ganun lang yun, di ba? Even when pressure builds, bold leaders stand firm with grace and with integrity. Now, let's bring all of this to life with a real-world scenario. Imagine you're a nurse supervisor of a busy hospital unit. Patient satisfaction scores have recently taken up a dip, most due to delays in care coordination. During a staff huddle, a junior nurse nervously raises a bold but thoughtful idea. Maybe it's time to redesign the shift handover process. So now you immediately know this suggestion might not, sit well with everyone, especially senior staff who are comfortable with the current system. So resistance, is almost guaranteed. O, tingnan nyo to, ang slide na to, ha? So in this situation, what kind of a leader would you be? Would you say A? I'll decide what's best after reviewing the issue myself. Well, stick to the current system until I say otherwise. Would you say B naman? Feel free to test the new idea if you want. So let me know how it goes. Yan. So what about C? Let's form a committee to gather everyone's input and vote on whether we want to try this new process. We'll wait for full consensus before taking action. Or would you choose D? this idea has merit. I know it's a shift for some, but we'll pilot the new process next week. I'll support you through the transition and we'll refine it together. So, ano kayo dyan? Sagot nga kayo? A, B, C, or D? May sumasagot ba? Okay, very good. Thank you for your answers, my dear nurses. So, now I'll explain this to you. Letter A sounds firm and directive, diba? But it sidelines innovation and discourages initiative. It's leadership rooted in control, not collaboration. Yan ang letter A. It's what we call autocratic leadership. Now, meanwhile, sino yung sumagot sa inyo ng letter B? Letter B may sounds open, but it puts the burden on the junior nurse without real support. It's leadership that avoids risk and responsibility. B describes the laissez-faire leadership. Okay? So moving on, letter C. Sino sumagot ng letter C? Madami ba? Letter C has an approach that prioritizes harmony and collaboration. However, it can also stall progress. Sometimes, waiting for a general agreement or consensus, meaning no decision ever gets made, or it would take too long to have one. Magkakaroon naman, but it will take too long to have one. Option C is an example of a democratic leadership. And finally, we have letter D. Sinong sumagot ng letter D? This option listens. This option validates and acts even in the face of resistance. It is grounded in self-trust and empowered others to grow alongside you. Diba? So from that explanation, we know that letter D is bold leadership in action. Now that we've seen bold leadership in action through that scenario, the question becomes, how do we become a bold leader? Paano nga ba maging bold leader? First, act with purpose. Bold leaders don't lead to be seen. They lead to make a difference. They take initiative even when no one's watching. And they know that leadership doesn't start with a title. It starts with a reason. So ask yourself, my dear colleagues, why am I stepping up? If your answer is rooted in service, in making things better for your team or your patients, then you are already on the path of bold leadership. But you know, bold leadership doesn't stop at intention. It must also be tested in moments of tension. The next essential step is this: lean into difficult conversations. Aba, tayong mga leaders, we always encounter difficult conversations. We always encounter conflicts, right? And one of the truest tests of a bold leader is their willingness to face hard truths, not to stir conflict, but to create clarity and progress. Sometimes you don't agree, you just explain yourself. Bold leaders don't avoid uncomfortable topics. They approach them with courage, but of course, very important value is respect. And of course, as nurses, very important is compassion. They speak up when something is not working, even when it's easier to stay silent. Remember this, ha? Tandaan niyo po ito. Silence or yung pagiging tahimik, protects comfort, while boldness speaks the truth. And often, the breakthrough we need for our team and for our systems is just on the other side of a conversation we've been avoiding. Know how to be a bold leader. Now that we've talked about leaning into difficult conversations, let's move to other essential trait of bold leadership, pushing past the status quo. You see, bold leaders are not satisfied with the excuse of this is how we've always done it. They challenge outdated norms and ask the right questions. Not just what is, but what if, di ba? This mindset is what drives innovation and what progress. It's about looking at the progress or system and having the courage to say, this doesn't serve us anymore. How can we do better? And sure, um, that can feel uncomfortable, but remember, boldness begins where comfort ends. Okay, next. As we've seen, bold leaders are willing to challenge systems, question the norm, and speak the truth. But just as important, bold leaders amplify the people around them. This means shifting the spotlight from, ourselves to others. And bold leadership is not being about the smartest person in the room. Hindi kailangan ikaw pinaka-smartest. It's about bringing out the best in every person at the table. Palagi kong sinasabi to as leaders, we should not just be on the menu. We should be on the table. Whether it's mentoring a junior nurse, coaching a struggling workmate, or recognizing hidden strengths. Bold leaders lifts others up and help them rise. Because at the end of the day, bold leadership is not just about making change. It is about building change makers, developing them, and hopefully bolder leaders of the future. Finally, bold leaders don't wait for perfection. They just start, di ba? After all the inspiring things we have explored today, like acting with purpose, faking hard conversations, challenging the norms, and lifting others up, none of it matters if we don't take action. As I always say, leadership is not just a position. Sinabi ko na yan kanina. Leadership is action. Too often, we hold back because we feel we're not ready, not polished enough, or we're not qualified. But bold leadership embrace learning in motion. So take the step, even if it's messy. Sige lang, take the risk, my dear friends. Even if you feel unsure, because momentum builds confidence, and waiting only feeds the doubt we're trying to overcome. Kailan po tayo matututo kung di natin susubukan? Paano mo masasabing kaya mo kung di mo susubukan? Paano rin makikita ng ibang tao na kaya mo kung di mo susubukan? Remember, choose progress over perfection and trust yourself to grow as you go. In summary, bold leadership is not about having all the answers or waiting for the perfect moment. It's about acting with purpose, even when the path is unclear. It is about leaning into uncomfortable conversations, questioning the norm, lifting others up, and taking action even if it's messy at first. Diba? Kasama po yan sa experience. Now, I would like to share with you these 5 strategies that empower us to lead with authenticity, with courage, and impact. And in a beautiful, fitting way, these actions come together in a single word, that captures the spirit of bold leadership in our own language. I don't know kung alam nyo to sa Filipino. Alpas. Inalpasan mo na ba yan? Narinig mo na ba yan? Alpas. Alpas is a powerful Filipino word that means to break free and to rise beyond. Kaya mong alpasan yan. But in the context of bold nursing leadership, it holds a deeper, more personal meaning. It means breaking free from self-doubt, from the quiet voice that tells you you're not enough, not ready, not capable. It means rising beyond that by choosing to trust yourself or your oneself, to honor your judgment, your growth, and your purpose. Alpas is a bold and liberating call to leadership, one that challenges us to rise above fear and step into our full potentials. It is the moment we step out of the hesitation and into boldness. It is the decision to lead not because we are perfect, but because we care deeply about people, about progress, and about the impact that we can make. So today, we break free from self-doubt. We rise beyond self-trust. And finally, we lead boldly, not someday, but now. So here are the references I used for this lecture. And before I end, let me leave you with this. In a world that often tells us to stay safe, to stay small, or stay silent, may you choose to be bold. Because the future of nursing needs leaders who dare to alpas, to break free, to rise beyond, and to lead with courage. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Juriel, for that powerful and enriching presentation. Doc, ang dami pong nakarelate doon sa ating imposter cycle, mapa novice ka man o mapa nandun ka man sa expert na season or cycle of your nursing career. But we are glad to know that we can break the cycle by having the self-trust, and doon naman po sa other spectrum na kung ikaw na po ay nasa leadership position, you can apply bold leadership and you can surely alpas or you will break free from that imposter syndrome. So once again, maraming salamat po, Dr. Juriel, for that wonderful talk. So at this point, we would like to open the floor for a brief question and answer session. So if anyone from the audience has question or insight, they would like to share, please type in the question. We will, due to the interest of time, we will only be entertaining 2 questions. So Ma'am Neris, ang dami pong nag-participate dun sa ating mga pa-question, no? And then there's a lot of comments also that they're very thankful for your talk as this motivates them to become talagang bold leaders. So for our first question, this comes from Miss Myra Jimenez. So Doc, ang tanong niya, how do we overcome imposter?
Speak up in meetings, or you can also mentor others, even when it feels uncomfortable. Bold leadership is built through action and not perfection, as I've mentioned a while ago. So confidence grows with each step forward. And it's very important also that you should acknowledge achievements. Very important yan, no? No matter how small. And reflect on lessons from, setbacks, yung mga nag-experience na hindi maganda. Whether nagka-variance ka ba dyan o nagkaroon ka dyan ng errors. So this builds resilience also and reinforces your capacity to lead with authenticity. So many leaders have shared how they once felt like impostors but grew into confident leaders by consistently applying these strategies. Ako, ginawa ko din yan. Nagsimula din po ako sa ganyan. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Uriel, for that generous responses to the question. Another question is, what are the most common triggers po of imposter syndrome among nurses, especially po the new graduates or newly hired nurses or those in leadership roles as well? Thank you po.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that question. Well, I can say that the most common triggers of imposter syndrome among nurses, especially you mentioned about the newly hired nurses or the newly grads ba? Yun ba yung tinanong kanina? And also the leaders, no? Including transitioning into new roles. Syempre, meron dyan mga high expectations also and lack of mentorship and comparison with peers. So what I can say about it is, for the new graduates or the newly hired nurses, they often feel overwhelmed, di ba? They often feel overwhelmed by the shift from the academic learning to real world clinical practice. Kasi nakikita ko rin ito sa hospital namin yan eh. The steep learning curve and fear of making mistakes can fuel self-doubt. So for the nurse leaders naman, stepping into management or executive roles sometimes may feel unprepared or questions their qualifications, no? Kaya ko ba to? Parang ganun din yun. Especially when leading more experienced staff. So, nursing is a high-stake profession where errors can have, or variances can have serious consequences. And this pressure to, perform without error or without or flawlessly, sabi nga nila, can lead nurses to feel like they're never good enough even when they succeed already. So for the leaders naman, they may feel they must always have the right answer, especially when they ask by the staff. Kasi dapat, di ba, feeling ng head. Pag tinanong ako ng mga nurses, pag tinanong ako ng mga doktor, dapat parang ang feeling ng mga heads, dapat alam ko lahat. Which creates unrealistic internal standards. So I think without strong mentorship or peer support, nurses may internalize their struggles and believe they're alone in feeling inadequate. Kaya minsan umiiyak talaga sila, and leaders roles naman can also be isolating, especially if there's limited guidance from the senior executives kasi iba-iba naman tayo ng pagpapalakad sa mga hospitals. So nurses often compare themselves to colleagues. Isa rin yan sa problema, no? Who seem more confident or experience, which can distort their own sense of competence. Yung iba, parang, ang galing-galing naman niya, ba't siya alam niya, ako parang hindi ko matutunan yan. So, and then, basta studies, ako nakita ko to, no? Nabasa ko actually kagabi. Study shows daw that age, gender, and background, our cultural background, can influence imposter feelings. For example, younger nurses or those from the unrepresented groups may feel added pressure to prove themselves in the leadership settings. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for those thoughtful questions, and thank you again, Dr. Juriel, for addressing those questions comprehensively. Your talk was deeply empowering, and your words reminded us that leadership is not about having no fear or doubt, but about moving forward with purpose and reason, sabi mo nga, Doc, despite them. And now, as a symbol of our heartfelt appreciation, we would like to present you with this certificate of appreciation for your invaluable contribution to today's event and for the inspiration you've instilled in all of us through your lecture. The citation reads, allow me to read po, the National Kidney and Transplant Institute, Nursing Services, the Certificate of Appreciation is proudly presented to Dr. Neriza M. Jurial for sharing her valuable insights and knowledge as a guest speaker during the 5th National Nursing Conference held on October 24, 2025 via Zoom webinar at this institution. Signed by the head of the Nursing in Service Training and Education Unit and by Dr. Hazel M. Villafranca, the overall chairperson of the Nursing Month celebration. Doc, we hope this small gesture reflects our deep gratitude for the time, energy, and inspiration you've shared with us.
Thank you very much to all.
Thank you, ma'am. At this